Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mac from MacTheMovieGuy.com, and I'm coming at you with a review of a film that technically was released in theaters in October. I could have reviewed it back then, but I couldn't get my audio description to work for Peacock back then, so I wasn't able to watch the film, but now it's on HBO Max. So this is the latest movie review of Halloween Kills that I think is going to exist online. Yeah, so for those of you new to my channel, welcome. Please subscribe and tell your friends, because I'm a blind film critic and trying to teach people about audio description and what it's like and how we can improve it and how did it work within the context of Halloween Kills. But first, a little bit about the movie. So, Halloween Kills, which a lot of people have already weighed in on and made their minds up about and had heavy amounts of thoughts. It's now on HBO Max, and it has English audio description with it. It picks up exactly where the last Halloween film, the requel with Jamie Lee Curtis, that was so well received, where it left off, this one picks right up. So in theory, should have been amazing. However, possibly also not the best idea in the world. Mayhem has still occurred, and I guess the rest of the town is finding out about it, and they're all like, Michael Myers is back. Oh, we got to get him. Let's we see Tommy Dorsey from the Halloween films all grown up, and is now Anthony Michael Hall, and he's ready to go out there and crack some heads. And it still has our Laurie Strode and her family are in this because they survived the first film. Well, most of them. Her daughter Judy Greer and the granddaughter, played by Andy Matichak, are still existing in this universe. And that cop that Will Patton was playing, I can't remember his character's name. That guy, he's still in this film. So those are sort of like your major players. It doesn't really matter who anybody else is in this film, because, oh my God, everyone is so expendable in this film. It's funny if you watch these films in succession the way that they want you to watch them. There's the first Halloween film, which is almost bloodless, and you don't see a whole lot of Michael, and it's not very violent and gory, and then it leaps forward, and suddenly we got the requel that was like super violent and gory, and this film just tears it up a notch. This film, the reason why it's so frustratingly awful is because it seems that its sole purpose in life is to have Michael Myers kill everybody in Haddonfield, Illinois, because apparently none of these people know what Zillow are. They don't want to move out of Haddonfield. All these people that claim that they were around from back in the days of Michael Myers, nobody was traumatized enough to leave. Man, even Sydney eventually left Woodsboro. Like, at least in the final Scream, we finally saw that Sydney was living somewhere but Woodsboro, and she had to travel back to Woodsboro. So, I mean, at a certain point, it's like, move, get out of the town. The census on this town is going to be hilarious, because it's going to go from, well, there used to be 12,443 people living in this town, and suddenly it looks like there's 4. I don't know what happened. Michael Myers and Halloween Kills happened. Yeah, it's just relentless. If you've come to this film, I don't want to just totally spoil it, but if you've come to this film for just an endless streaming amount of Michael Myers dismembering people, then this is your film. This film is just incredibly brutal violence, creative kills. He's given the dumbest characters that we do not care about to just constantly just check them off a checklist. one after another. So they are so stupid, and nobody cares about any of them. I mean, when you have a character that's you have this girl that's swinging a pillowcase full of bricks at Michael Myers. It's like, first of all, how strong are you to even be swinging that pillowcase full of bricks at a speed at which it would actually hurt Michael? Second of all, that's not a real weapon. There's another guy later on that goes up at him with a wrench. And I know that there's like a video game where like a wrench is a weapon, and you can you can put a wrench in your hand, and I think you can bash zombies in the head with it and stuff. I remember that being a legitimate melee weapon. Not against this dude. I mean, this guy's already killed tons of people, and you think a wrench is going to stop him? Even the guy with the baseball bat. I'm like, a baseball bat? I feel a little bit bad for the people who actually brought guns to the table and find out that Michael Myers in this film is just transcending into a god. Like, he's just becoming a god in this film. He survives an injury he shouldn't survive. They don't quite try the Halloween H2O route of decapitation, which they should. That probably, I mean, if he can survive decapitation, then he's really not human. But there's this montage where he gets this quite insurvivable wound, and then you hear Laurie in the background talking about how, I don't think he's a man. Every time he makes a kill, he gets stronger, and then he becomes something else. And then, of course, like, Michael's alive, and you're like, well, what is something else? Anyway, so the film is just, if you're a visual person watching this video and you like the violence and the gore, I'm sure you got your money's worth. I know you don't like the structure of the film, because I agree, these characters are stupid. It's like they've never seen a horror movie before. They make every single, Randy from Scream would just be yelling at the TV screen during this. He'd be like, there are rules in horror movies. What are you doing? Don't go upstairs. Don't check in the closet. Like, the killer always comes back. Like, I could just hear Randy just like having like a panic attack while watching this movie. But no, nobody has ever seen a horror movie before in this entire franchise. They do the worst things. I know they try to make this like parallel thing where like the mob mentality of the community, because they chase this guy that they think is Michael, and it's not Michael, and then they're like, wait, now we're the monsters. And it's like, no, dude, the other dude is still the monster. You guys are just stupid. You are stupid for thinking that dude was Michael Myers. Michael is still a monster, because I'm pretty certain he just like decapitated somebody else. So why don't you go, meanwhile, while they're chasing this guy, and then calling themselves the monsters, like Michael's somewhere gouging somebody's eyes out, and they're like, we're the monsters now. It's like, no, he is still. You just need legitimate weapons and use that same brute force you just used, but like everybody surround him with guns and just start firing. Like, just, does anybody have, a chainsaw or something? I don't know. Just better weapons than a wrench. It's frustrating. These characters are terrible. Lots of them. Everybody's introduced to die, basically. And the one thing that this film does really well, I will say, that the first film didn't do. This film does only one thing well that the first film did not do. One thing. It actually gives Judy Greer stuff to do. So, Judy Greer's character grows a lot in this film, mainly because Laurie is left out of the film. I know that's a spoiler. I don't care. You need to know that. You need to know that despite whatever marketing for this film, they're lying to you. Jamie Lee Curtis spends the entire film confined to a hospital room from her injuries sustained in the first film. So the only one who's not injured are her daughter and granddaughter, so they're the ones that are out there fighting. We did get to see a lot of Andi Matichak in the first film, so I don't feel like this really increased her screen presence at all. I do feel like this really increased Judy Greer's Karen and her presence and what she goes through and her experiences. And I think Judy Greer did a great job in this film, despite some of her character's frustrating choices, because no one in this film makes good choices. It's why this film it's why everybody hates this film, because this film so desperately needed somebody to root for, and it's really hard to root for anybody. You root for Karen a little bit, because she seems to be making the best choices, but even then, you're like, nope. Nope, you're still falling into the same. This film is just really poorly written. Yep. I don't know what happened to David Gordon Green. He wrote such a great first film, and then he came and directed and wrote this one, and I don't understand. I think of his entire career, leaving Jamie Lee Curtis in a hospital room will be the worst decision of his life in his entire film career. I think that killed the film. I really do. I think it put a damper on who's going to come back for the third film and want to watch the third film. Because if we can't trust that when you put her in the marketing that we will actually see Laurie Strode do things, then why would we come back for a third film? So you could literally just put her in the marketing again, and then she could be in like one scene, So stop using her to draw people in when you don't actually use her character. It's like, how many people want to see her in the film. That's why the reason that they're showing up is for her. So when you sideline her, it just pisses people off. As far as audio description for the film, horror films are always going to be different for us as a community because we're not actually getting to see the gore. It's just being described to us. Although, as somebody who had seen some gore in some horror films, I know what, it was kind of always a turnoff for me when it got a little bit much. I didn't like all of the stuff that followed Saw, how we kept trying to like one-up each other with torture porn. It was a bit much back in the day. And I'm not sure that I would have necessarily loved to watch all of these kills. I'm not totally in it for gore's sake. I'm okay with it when it matches the plot and the structure of the story is strong. I feel like the first film I would have been fine with, but this just feels like the Texas Chainsaw reboot, which was just, let's get a bunch of stupid people together so that our killer can just kill everybody. And we can have tons of gore and bloody deaths. And the film just describes it really well as it possibly can be described. There really aren't jump scares because the film doesn't even bother really with tension. It doesn't need to, because Michael is obviously just going to win every fight he's in. The people are given such stupid weapons that that when they're going off to face Michael with the least helpful weapon in human history, that they're all going to die. So why bother building tension? Maybe Michael will step up behind somebody, they'll walk into a room and they'll think the room is clear, then Michael appears behind them, but those don't even really feel like jump scares because you're waiting for that person to die anyway. So it's not like it's not a kind of thing where you're like, oh, well, maybe this person will live. There's none of that. You just assume all these people are going to die. So there's no tension to build. So there are no jump scares. So you can't even really narrate that. You just have to narrate gore. So the one thing that this film needed to do was narrate these kills. And I felt like it did it really well. You don't need to know anything really about these disposable characters and what they look like too much and their background. The film does give us background on some characters and tries to introduce characters to make it seem like they're going to stick around for more than 2 seconds and give them some sort of personality. but then just everybody dies. So it's like they barely need any character. It just doesn't matter. This film is just nothing but just like an endless stream of creative kills, and it's described very well. I love the score to this film. I've always loved the score to Halloween. It has one of the best and most sort of simplistic. It's iconic. It's an iconic film score, and Halloween Kills does use that theme. I'm glad they didn't reinvent the wheel. I'm glad they just embraced the Halloween theme and they make sure to still use it to its incredible effectiveness. It's probably the best thing about the movie is the score, and then Judy Greer would be like number 2 for me because the score is just so tremendous. It's so iconic. Yeah. And I know they're sampling stuff from other films, which is why it can't win like original score, but it was just really nice to hear that. Yeah, that whole like, Halloween thing, that was terrible, but it was nice to hear that. That was great. Yeah, Halloween Kills is not a good film. I would not recommend it. It's a huge step down in quality. I don't know if it's the worst Halloween ever. To be totally honest, I can't say I've watched every Halloween. In their entireties, I've seen the first Halloween, I've seen Halloween H2O, Halloween Resurrection, and I've seen enough of Season of the Witch and Halloween 6, Curse of Michael Myers, that I can say that I've seen them. I wouldn't say I would review them because I remember I caught them both like in progress on TV, but then I like finished them out. You know what I'm saying? So like I missed the first, however, 10, 15 minutes. So I don't feel comfortable reviewing it, but like I saw it to the end. So I kind of saw it. So I've seen like about half the films in the franchise. So I can't actually say this is the worst. It might be. I wouldn't be surprised if it was. It's certainly the most pointless. I feel like I could say that because considering that this film takes place exactly from where the other film left off, and the other film was kind of flawless. It was so perfect. This just extends that, and it actually kind of ends up making the first film worse. So in many ways, this film never should have existed. Because if you try to watch them back to back, since they do actually connect story-wise, this film actually would end up degrading the quality of something that actually did work. This would be like watching the Lord of the Rings franchise and trying to watch the trilogy, and then you go into the Two Towers, and it's just total crap out of Fellowship of the Ring, and you're like, what? I don't understand, like, would you come back for Return to the King? Probably not. I'm going to give this a D+. So, I like the score, and that was the saving grace of the film. But also, it's not supposed to be the thing that you put at the top. So, that's Halloween Kills. If you like your gore, then you found a film. They've made this film for you. Congratulations. If you like story and character and plot, this is not for you. All right. So let me know what you think about Halloween Kills in the comments. And as always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Head over to macthemovieguy.com for more of me. And check out the audio description project when you're trying to plan your movie night, or if you want to know if a TV show is being audio described or not. But until next time, just remember, there's someone walking behind you.